Hello, everyone. I am super excited to walk you through exactly how I put together Canva photos. So I am asked on the regular how I create beautiful graphics, and I use a little something called Canva. What I love about Canva, for those of you who don't use it, I'm obsessed, and you're going to see why in a few minutes. But I just kind of wanted to walk you through the basics of Canva. A little brief intro. I am not affiliated with Canva. I think just the most common question that I get with regards to graphics that I create are where I create them, how I create them, and I'm really excited to show you how simple it is. I am not super crafty. I am definitely creative, but I am not super fancy by any means. So a little bit about Canva. You can purchase or you can use Canva for free, but you can also use Canva. It's a paid option. And what I love about the paid option is that you can upload your own fonts. So to kind of chat about font briefly, I get this question a lot. And so I'm going to share with you guys my secret. And it's a little something called creativemarket.com. If you are not familiar with this website, be careful. It can be crazy. What I love about Creative Market is that I can come on here and I can purchase things like photos. I can purchase graphics or icons or objects, certain templates. So if you're super handy and you like to do, you're familiar with Photoshop and things like that, you can purchase templates. You can purchase themes. But the fonts for me are key. And a lot of people ask me what the secret is for branding. And I can tell you now that I cringe sometimes when I see some people posting photos and ads and things like that, because really our brand is the most important thing. Yes, we are our brand, but you also create a brand through things like consistency, right? So consistent fonts, consistent photos, consistent imagery, consistent like ads. I don't know. There's for me, branding is just consistency in behavior, but also consistency in look. So one thing that I did when I got crystal clear on my branding was came to Creative Market and I purchased a font. And you'll see here that every week they do free fonts or free images and things like that, which are great. But a lot of time these fonts aren't you. And so what I did is I went in here, and this took me a few hours. This took me a while, and it took me actually purchasing a few that I did not like to recognize what I really wanted. So you'll see in my ads that I create, I use a consistent font all the way across the board. That's very key for me. So looking through, and the nice thing is you can click on it. You can see how it's been used. You can see options, all these different things. So this is my top tip for people, and this is the key for anybody. And really, at the end of the day, they're not very expensive. So the nice thing with this is this font is going to download into your downloads. You can go through Google and you can find out how to upload that into like into a Pages or things like that. But in the meantime, I'll show you really quickly how you can do this through Canva. So you're going to purchase yourself a font, and this is really the starter point for everybody. Canva has some beautiful fonts, don't get me wrong, but at the beginning of building your brand, you're going to want a font that nobody's using or a font that minimal people are using so that it's you. That's the key through all of this. So once you get into Canva, this is only available through the paid option of Canva. I think it's about $12 a month. It's not expensive. And you can see that I use this all the time. I use this regularly for all of my things. So you're going to click on your brand. And you'll see that I've gone through a lot of different fonts over the past little while. But what I love here is that you can set up your main 3 fonts. And then you can click on here and you can upload a new font. And literally all you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to find your font. You're going to select that it is your font. You purchased it. click through, and that's it. And that this font will then be added. Like literally, it's the simplest thing ever. The next thing I love is that you can also add a logo. I haven't done that recently, and you can set a primary color. So these are just some options that you can use, and then it just makes things easier for you as you go through and start creating. All right, so I am going to start fresh and show you how to make a little something like this. So this is the font typically takes, oh, there we go. This is an ad that we just created for an event that we run as a collaborative between a few diamond and above leaders in our community, so Sister Sidelines, and I created this month's ad, and I've been asked a few times to share how I did that. And so I wanted to quickly walk you through how I create these overlays. And I will let you know, this was not something that I literally threw together, okay? This took a little bit longer than your typical ad that you would create. However, it was simple. There was nothing hard about it. It just took a little bit longer than something that I kind of just throw together or create quickly. So this one I'm gonna walk you through is a little bit more intricate. This has a lot more overlays. And so what I will do is I'm going to add a new page. All right, so we're gonna start from scratch. So you're going to create, you can either utilize a background that they have for you. You can search thousands of images. So you can click and say you want a bedroom, or you want, I don't know, watercolors. You can click here and search. The watercolor that was a background is actually my own photo that I had uploaded months ago. So let me go find that. I use Canva a lot. All right, is this the one I used? I don't think so. All right, so you'll see that it's smaller. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch it so it fits this page. I'm gonna move it. One thing I love about Canva versus PicMonkey is that it has, see these dotted lines along the top and bottom. It shows you when something's centered. That's something that that PicMonkey doesn't have. All right, next I am going to start adding in some text. So once you click on text, you'll see these are the texts that I have added in there as my main ones that I use a lot. So I'll click that. I'm just briefly showing you quickly how this kind of goes. All right, so my trick for all of this, people ask me, oh, well, how do you do all these circles and make all these things look so pretty? You can do shape cutouts, so you can actually go in, you can edit the photos and make them circles. But I do something called a frame, and it makes my life so much easier. I click on frames, and you'll see there's a lot of incredible options. There's actually photos of like a computer if you want to show like a webinar or something like that. Beautiful graphics. But if you go down a little bit further, there's some circles. So this is how I typically will do it. I'll create the circles. And again, like I said, I'm not making this uber pretty. I'm just keeping it simple just so you guys have an idea of how I do this. What I love about these frames is that I can then go back into my uploads. I can find the photo that I want to put into this frame, and I can click and drag it and plop them in. They're so pretty. So this is the trick. The nice thing, and this is another trick, so if you were to double click on this circle, you can edit it. So you can't make it smaller, but say for some reason it was a photo that was further away and the person's not showing up completely in the circle, you can zoom in their faces, right? And then you would just click this check mark at the top. Top little secret. but I will keep them like that so it's not uber zoomed in. So we do that there. And then I'm going to go back into text and I'm going to add in my title. So again, I'm using a different font. Cool. Okay. Now I am going to add in, see this overlay right here? This white one? That's just a shape. So a lot of times people are like, wow, that's so intricate. It's not. It's really easy. So I'm going to exit out of my frames. And I am going to go to my shapes. Cool thing about these squares is they can be made into rectangles, okay? So they can be moved in any way you want them to be moved. So I'm going to select it. That was my original color, so of course it's going to pop up. So I'm going to make it white. I'm going to make it into a, whoops, more of a rectangle. Okay, so it's super white, right? It's very stark contrast now, and I would love it for it to be a little bit faded. So I'm going to click on that rectangle, and in this top corner, the little checker, it's transparency. So I'm going to click on that, and you can change the transparency. So I love to typically just go just so I can see the difference. So between 50 and 60 usually. I'm not dead set on a specific number or anything like that. So you'll see there, that's how simple an overlay is. The photos that I have along here, again, I just would take this, I actually just copy it. I make it smaller because I need them to be smaller for along the side here. And then once you find the size that's perfect, you can just copy it again. I have lots of Lynn's and Craig's. And then see those lines, you can make sure that's all lined up properly, copy. Make sure it's all lined up properly, copy. Again, lined up properly. Now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna find the photos of the people that I want to be in those pictures, right? So I want photo of Christina. We'll just use a random photo of me. Want a photo of me. Just gonna go to whatever pictures I have down here. All right, I want a picture of Erica. I'm just using any photos I can get my hands on here. I want a picture of Jen. I'm not gonna use the specific ones. So that's kind of the trick, okay? Look how pretty that looks already, and I haven't really done anything. When it comes to things like adding fonts all down here, my trick is just copying it. So for me, I found the size that works, right? I've created the perfect size that I want for this, that fits like the width, that fits everything. So instead of consistently just creating a new font and plopping it in, instead I would click on this and I would just copy them all the way down and then edit the font. Instead of putting new font in and changing the size and reorganizing it, it's a lot easier just to copy it, okay? So for this one, let me go to text, add, oops. Right, and then I found the correct one I like. I'm gonna copy, I'm gonna add again. People keep asking me these lines that I've created, these breakers or spaces. There's no secret. It's honestly a matter of going into your text, finding a text that allows you to do lines. So for instance, this text here, if I were to do shift and then the top, like the underscore, because the underscore will go all in one line, they're broken. There are some fonts that you can find. Arial is one of them that when you do shift and then hit the underscore button, these will go into a full line. So this is a matter of playing around. So shift and then the line just beside the 0 at the top. And then boom, there's your line. So that kind of give you guys an idea of how simple this could actually be. That's just one example. So one thing I love is that you can create like files. So if you did an ebook, I create ebooks in Canva. And what I keep doing is I'll keep adding on pages. I think you can add up to like 25 pages and you can create them all through here. And I'll show you that in 2 seconds. So I create a lot of stuff through here. This is a secondary ad for our Leadership Legacy program that we run once a month as a collaborative between us ladies here. And so a lot of times I get asked, okay, so how did you do this? This background photo, that grapefruit of me picking it up out of a bin, is actually my personal photo that I had taken through a photo shoot. And so all I had done here, you'll see this in 2 seconds, if I can pull it back, is it's a photo, right? So I did the same thing as I did in the last one. I put a photo as the background. I added then in a overlay. So that same way I did that rectangle overlay, I went into elements, I went into shapes, I grabbed the square, I made it white, and then I changed the transparency. This one here, I wanted extra transparency because I wanted it to be fairly opaque, just a brief amount popping through. Whoops. I'll show you that in a second. Now if I can, this is one thing sometimes about Canva. See, you can move too many things at once. That's what I want. Thank you. So again, sometimes it gets frustrating. So all I've done here is I had just changed the transparency of it. Now, there we go. Okay, so all I've done here is now I've created two of the same font, one a different color, and you can layer them. This is something that I just randomly found out one day when I tried it. Again, nothing fancy. And you can just layer them like that. Another question I got is, oh my gosh, these triangles are so pretty. Again, frames, right? I went into frames. I just so happened to find a triangle. A lot of people will utilize the circles, which are beautiful, but you can't fit as many. So I really liked the idea of doing triangles. And so I went through frames. I found the triangles and I just added the triangles in, right? Again, then what I did is I clicked and dragged our photo in and then edited it that way. Super, super simple once you get the hang of it. The thing that I love too is that you can copy pages. So for instance, say I don't want to, I don't want to have to redo this all again, but I want to create a Facebook cover photo. You can select this button along the side here and click copy, and then edit it as you see fit. Okay, so super simple that way. Okay, another thing that I love is that you don't have to sort of pick and choose or figure out sizes for things. They do it for you. So in terms of like a Facebook cover photo or a postcard or a Facebook post or an event photo, which they're all different sizes, a letter post, like a letter poster, and more. So the thing with Canva is there's so many amazing options that you can use. If you're somebody who's looking to add things to Pinterest, there's specific ones for Pinterest. Instagram stories, there's all kinds of great stuff in here. So some really great things for us to utilize in here that Canva makes a lot easier for us. Another thing that I often will come in here and do is I created a signature. So this is another thing that's super simple. This is my signature on my emails. Again, super easy, triangle frame. So I went into elements, found the triangle frame, and then this is my logo. So just kind of plot that in there. very, very simple to figure out. Let me try and find one that I have done. Okay, so this is something that I created. It's an ebook. So this is my copy, or this is my Toxin-Free Living ebook that I created for myself and my team. We usually do one a month, and we launch them to our team and have them for them to utilize and use anytime they need it. And again, this was all created in Canva. Super simple to do. Used a background photo, uploaded some photos into it. Nothing fancy. I think it's a matter of just playing around with things. I do a lot of just text photos. If you guys can kind of see clearly here, I do a lot of text photos as well. I do very simple things like this, where I'll take a background photo, I'll create an overlay like I just showed you guys how to do. So I'm launching a new Vibrant Living series next week. And these are my posts for the day. So I have day one, and all this is a photo. So I literally I went into uploads, dragged a photo over, I sized it properly, and then I went into my elements. I found a shape. There's also a square or a rectangle with rounded edges, which is just a little, for me, I find it a little less harsh. And I put that in. I changed the transparency, font on top, my logo. Easy peasy. And what I love about this is how consistent my brand is. All of my branding has my logo. It all has the same fonts. I utilize these options a lot. Let me see if there's another option here. Again, I did a detoxing with doTERRA essential oils post. I have created, let me see if I can find it. Things like my rank announcements. So all of this is done in Canva as well. It's so simple. I know how to do an overlay. I add font, and then the diamond, which people ask a lot, is if you go to elements and you just simply search in diamond. Once you're paying for this option, you're paying for this, I don't forget what it's called. It's whatever this, the crown is. Forget what they call it. But you have access to a lot of free photos. A nice thing within this program is you can also buy photos. So if there's a photo you love or a diamond you love and you want to change the colors of it and make it your brand, or a specific illustration, it doesn't have to be diamonds, it could be anything, you can buy it. And I believe it's $1 US, and you can buy it and it'll always be available to you. You can also find photos like bath. So you can find fun little pictures. You can find actual photos of a bath if you want to do that as a background and put an overlay over top of it. There's a lot of stuff that you can play around with in Canva that people don't even recognize. And I probably haven't even touched the surface of things that I can do. Another thing that Canva does is that a lot of times people might actually find this interesting or useful for them if you're not very creative and you don't like playing around with things. They have templates for you or layouts that you can plop your own things into along this left-hand side here. And each one you go to, like if you go to a Facebook cover photo, you go to a Instagram picture, each of them will have different templates for you based on that size. So you can kind of play around. But I hope that that is helpful for you guys. My goal here is just to make things useful. And I know I've been playing around with Canva for a long time now, and I truly believe that it can be simple if we let it be simple. And I really believe that we need to start creating some of our own things to build our own brands instead of just using everything that's posted for us, whether it's through doTERRA or uplines and things like that. I think that the key here is creating your own brand. And so I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions about Canva or ad creation or creative market. I would love to help you out.